Hello, everyone, and welcome. How are you today? I am Annette, the Mental Wellness Warrior, and this is the Mental Health Warriors podcast. My show is the Power Hour of Self Care, and today I am going solo and doing something a little bit different, which I hope you enjoy. But I'm going to be working from the premises of using some of the books that I've read in the past and how I apply that to what does self care look like for you, right? How does it look like for me? So I'll play the intro and I hope you have your tea or your coffee in hand and sit back and enjoy. Thanks. And I'm back. So, first off, I want to share with you that I have shared the link on Facebook. So, if you are watching here live now and want to come on live and chat with me about your thoughts on self care, your thoughts on mental health, if you're struggling, if you have a success story you want to share with our viewers, please do come on. Please share. And I'm here in New Lowell, Ontario, Canada. The Mental Health Warriors broadcast from various countries, and I recently celebrated my 1 year anniversary as a mental health warrior. And I have to give myself a little pat on the back that I did it because when I first started, I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? But you know what? That's part of my self-care is looking deep inside myself and reflecting on things that I truly, truly desire to do and just going for it, right? And today in New Lowell, it's an amazing, lovely sunny day. And you'll see my background is actually outdoors behind my greenhouse where I normally sit, but it's cold today. So I didn't want to sit out in the greenhouse, although with the sun shining through, it's normally lovely. The other reason I didn't go out in the greenhouse was because I'm struggling a little bit with anxiety. I've had some health issues and they're concerning. And I had a friend share with me yesterday about her health and it's concerning. So, when you worry about people that you love, sometimes you pick up on their anxiety, and that could be compounding how I'm feeling today. But since I'm here talking about mental health and mental wellness, I'm sharing with you viewers that yes, it's okay to have off days and struggle with your mental health. So if I kind of pause to reflect a little bit at times, it's just because I'm dealing with my feelings about where I am in life and, you know, um, trying to keep myself calm and relaxed. Hello, Adam. How are you? Our founder. Thank you for your support. So, I wanted to start off with because the title is about, what does our self care look like? I want to take you back in a time capsule. So, this time capsule is some of my journaling, which I've done over the years. And this book here, I'm going to read from today, is an entry I did on July 28th, 2017. Like, wow, talk about time passing. And I wrote in my journal about today will be a day of being an observer. So that's great advice, especially when you're taking care of yourself. And I sometimes forget to observe myself. So that can be part of helping yourself with your anxiety is observing your feelings, observing what's going on around you, observing what's happening inside of you, observing your physical health and asking yourself questions why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. It's very important when we're looking after our mental health to always observe how we're feeling physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So, a lot of my entries over the years have been about my battle and management and success stories, because there's always a positive out of this stuff, of my eating disorder. And this entry is saying how it's not going so well. Uh, I had taken some time off from eating healthy. I went back to my old habits, and I described it as I had an attitude of, I don't care. Well, when you have an attitude like that about your mental wellness, which is very connected to how I'm eating, having that kind of attitude of I don't care was very damaging. So, because of that attitude I've had over the years, it's always been a roller coaster. So I go up and down, in bouts of depression and anxiety over those things. Um, it says here, my body and soul want and crave for me to be gentle and conscious of what is known to make me work with the best of my health. I am experiencing brain fog, laziness, and moodiness, all the physical and emotional responses to eating unhealthy. I could write I could share a million journal entries that are similar to this. And hello, hi, Robert. How are you doing? Good to see you. And yeah, eating clean causes me a lot of setbacks. I mean, sorry, eating on clean, it gives me a lot of setbacks. And what I'm talking about is the total abandonment of eating regular proteins, fats, and healthy greens. So, yeah, my mind races and I go in circles and I go down the tube with my self care. I don't practice it. Um, Robert says, I almost thought you were really outside for a moment. Yes, isn't it a gorgeous picture? I took it myself. That is behind my greenhouse here on the property. And I always tell people, please come out and see me here. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so the next book I want to share with you is this one here by Benjamin Hardy. Now, Benjamin wrote this book, Willpower Doesn't Work, Discover the Hidden Keys to Success. And I read it and I sort of kind of had a mixed um, feeling about some of the things he shared. I didn't quite agree with, and other things really stood out for me. And, that's like everything that we take in on life. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, I learned a long time ago in Al Anon that, take what you need and leave the rest. Oh, you've heard of him, have you? Yeah, he's a good author. And I followed his emails for quite a few years. And it was very helpful when I was struggling with mental health. Oh, you know her mother. That's cool, Robert. No, I didn't know about her. What did you say? He's sharing something really important here. He says, if you also remember to bless your food, yes, I do that from when I remember, before you eat it, it is an exercise in faith and something that also requires much exercise. Yes, very, very true. I totally agree with you, Robert, on that. Thank you for sharing that. It was Dr. Ben who introduced me to the concept of evaluating your vibrations. Very cool. That's awesome. Well, then you can enjoy this part, Robert, which I'm going to read from his book. I don't know if you've read this book, but it's a story about the baby chick. Now, um, the baby chick is talking about there will always be some difficulty when you improve your life. Now, that is so prevalent for me because um, improving my life with taking care of myself has been a challenge forever. And I love his explanation here. I'm just going to read from here and let you get a feel of what he's explaining and what the importance of it is. Becoming a better person is difficult. When, you are where you are because of who you are. Your environment is a product of you. You're the magnet pulling in the patterns. If someone outside of you were to change your environment for you, you'd quickly find yourself in the same situation you are now. Hence, most people who win the lottery quickly return to their poverty. Now, this is the story about the baby chick. When a baby chick is trying to break out of its shell, it struggles. If you watch, you can feel terrible for the baby chick. You may even be tempted to help that chick by breaking its shell. But if you do this, you won't help the baby long term. Actually, you might probably kill the chick because the very struggle of breaking out of the shell is what gives strength to survive. Without the struggle, the bird wouldn't survive. It would remain weak and dependent. Similarly, you need to struggle if you're going to break out of your shell. The gravitational pull holding you down is the struggle you must learn to transcend. It's not supposed to be easy to detach yourself from the life you currently have. Okay, when I read that, I totally had to highlight about 50% of that because my struggles with my self-care have been consistently of thinking that I should have it easier, right? And so, acknowledging the fact that I should easily lose the weight, I should easily have lots of money, I should easily have great relationships with people, whatever the case may be. I should easily have the best relationship with myself. Okay, well, these struggles help you grow as a person. And if I didn't struggle, I wouldn't understand how much I love myself, because that's what I learned from doing all these things for myself, reading daily about how to improve my life, coloring daily to calm my anxiety, going for those walks to get my body strong and healthy, patiently listening to others when they're having struggles themselves and not trying to step in and fix them. These may not be your typical self-care models, like a bubble bath or a day at the beach, but they are the things that are truly missing from our lives, right? The in-depth self-work, which is the same as self-care. And let me go back to Robert, see what he's saying. I love having somebody join in. I'm breaking out of a shell that may not have been my creation, and it's messy. Yes, I can relate to that. And Robert, you said that message right at the number 111. So that is very in tune with your frequency right now. Yeah, once the anxiety is gone, you won't miss it at all. No, I don't miss when I don't have anxiety. But because I'm so susceptible to, if I don't do my self-care, sometimes my anxiety creeps up because I'll start worrying about it, right? But the whole point is to catch it. All right, next book I want to share with you. So I was flipping through my positive quotes for every day. Oh, it's hard to show when I have the background on. And I didn't decide to read today's because it didn't reflect on what the message is about self-care and what it looks like too prominent, in today's talk. But July 14th did stand out for me. So this relates a little bit more to what we're talking about. So it says, practice makes perfect. It's a funny thing. The more I practice, the luckier I get. That's from Arnold Palmer, who was a golf pro. Some people don't believe in luck, and it seems that Arnold Palmer is one of these people. He knows how hard he has worked, and he credits this with his success. Luck may be the reason behind some things, winning the lottery, for instance. Now, isn't that funny? This lottery thing keeps popping up. But those glorious pale, those glories pale in comparison to what hard work and practice can bring us. Today I will work hard and I will improve. Now, I hope I'm correct that Arnold Palmer is a golfer because it just came to me like that. Maybe you know, Robert. um, cool. And so, why practice makes perfect? Why did that jump out at me? Because you know what? We can be lucky at times, yes, but with our self care, I ain't going to rely on luck. Um, with my mental health, I ain't going to rely on luck. I am going to work on my self care. And you have to practice it to make it better for you. So, coming from previous history of having a lot of traumas, I didn't know anything about what self care looked like, right? I never took a moment to sit down and reflect how I was feeling because I was too busy trying to see and make sure that everybody else's feelings were looked after first. And how did that work out for me? 30 years of mental health issues is how it worked out for me. And yes, Robert agrees, has corrected me and says, yes, Arnold Palmer for years was the golfer. Wow. Yeah, I thought I knew who he was. So, as I talk with my clients when I'm doing self love mentoring, I talk about, okay, here is, for example, let's go to Louise Hay now. Okay. Now, what is Louise Hay famous for? Her affirmations, her healing books. And Louise herself once had cancer and she did affirmations. She put everything into practice and she healed. So, with that said, can practicing an affirmation as self care help you with your mental health? I am living proof that it does. And I continue to be living proof that it does because I'm practicing that right now, currently in my life, because of the things that I'm experiencing. And I picked her chapter from this book of You Can Heal Your Life. It's chapter 13. So I hope nobody's superstitious. And it's on prosperity. So I'm going to bridge now to what does prosperity look like when you're doing self-care? Well, I deserve the best and I accept the best now. Now that's a strong affirmation. I deserve the best and I accept the best now. So, first of all, do you know yourself well enough to be deserving? The answer should be, oh, sorry, I don't use the word should. The answer I would like to hear from you is yes, I am deserving. That is a great affirmation to help your self care. I am deserving. And I accept the best now. She goes on to say, if you want the above affirmation to be true for you, then you do not want to believe any of the following statements. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is filthy and dirty. Money is evil. I am poor but clean or good. Rich people are crooks. I don't want to have money and be stuck up. I will never get a good job. I will never make any money. Money goes out faster than it comes in. And she goes on and on and on and lists a whole bunch of negativity that we attribute to money. Now, for me, self care is making sure that I have some money. Money has been a difficult hurdle for me to deal with self care. And it actually feels a little foreign to be connecting self care with prosperity. But guess what? If you're ill mentally, if you are not looking after your mental health with your finances, yeah, How many people I see on the roads these days asking for money because they're homeless? It's really, really sad. It truly is. Um, what is Robert saying? Yeah, Robert has some thoughts on some of the things I read back from Louise Hay about fiscal energy. Yeah, very true. And about anyone could be a crook and how we're stuck because of the lack of our mindset. Globally, I believe, okay, that if there were no boundaries, I'm sort of like the same mindset of John Lennon. If there were no countries and there was no division of races, um, I totally believe that money would not be an issue, and but it has to start with the individual. And I hope I don't offend anybody. I mean, yes, I totally agree that we are all different, but at the same time, we're all one. So whether you are of um, Native Indian background, Aboriginal, um, Black, um, Asian, whatever the case may be, Caucasian, uh, we all live and breathe in the same atmosphere on the same planet. And our self care, if it doesn't come first, look outside your window, and that is the reflection of how poorly we're not taking care of ourselves as individuals, right? So the next time you're, perhaps worrying about money, and say you're focused on that while you're driving down the road, and all of a sudden you have road rage because somebody cuts you off, there's a lot of things that are connecting those dots back to not doing self-care. And I'm totally believing that, because once I started to look after myself, it's the old thing of we get in our minds from conditioning, is that once I'm financially okay, I can look after myself mentally or physically, emotionally, whatever the case may be. Once I get married, once I have my kids, once I buy my house, it's we've got it backwards. Self-care. Once I look after me, then all these things fall in place. And that will now fall into the next book I want to refer to. Um, yes, you are the comment king, Robert. Yeah, he says, oh, this one's a good one to share. He says, I'm the believer that there must be friction to hone oneself. Absolutely. And it's going to happen one way or the other. I had an experience the other day, Robert, that totally was friction. And my family, you can't control how other people are going to behave, act, believe their values. But once you start pointing out to them, where are you going with this? Why is this more important than how you feel emotionally? How is this more important than loving someone else? It makes people, you know, sit back, and either they are going to do an inward look at themselves, or they're going to go off on a big ego tangent. And there is no stopping some people when that happens. I know, I've done it. I've been there. So, um, the where I was going with that. Okay, so we were talking about prosperity, and we were talking about the connection around it being your self-care that comes first versus getting your finances, because it can't work the other way around. Yes, money makes life a lot easier. And when we don't have it, it causes a lot of stress. However, I witnessed the other day a woman panhandling. This is like night and day. I can give you two prime examples. This woman, oh yeah, it was not another the other day. It was at Easter. I think I might have shared this with some people. But this woman had bunny rabbit ears on, and she was bopping around like a bunny rabbit, and she was asking for money. And I roll down my window all the time when I hand out money to these people, and I talk to them. And I asked her, I said, you know what? I was having such a down day, and you put such a great smile on my face. I said, Shh. I said, thank you. And she's like, well, I could be opposite and I could just be grumpy and just yell at people for not giving me money. And no, I choose to be happy and entertain people. And I just felt that this enormous feeling of love for this woman. Now, the other day, I saw these police cruiser pull up, and it's right on Dunlop here in Barrie, and the 400 where you exit onto there. And someone was not doing so well. He was sitting there asking for money, but he wasn't even asking for the money because he seemed like he was about to collapse. He must have been on some kind of substance, maybe fentanyl. I don't know. I was very deeply moved that the police stopped and went to his assistance. And I hope it happened. Like I couldn't stick around to watch the thing, but I hope that it came from a place of compassion, because a lot of times violence can erupt in these situations, but a lot of times these people are so hurting that they have to just bury themselves in a substance. And it's so sad. It really is. Um, but they are far from having the ability to do self-care. Uh, might not be fentanyl. It could have been alcohol. It could have been a million things. I don't know. People use that to get a real death experience. Yeah, I am not learned on these kind of street drugs that are happening out there. I have a good friend that is, but myself, I have not educated myself about it. But um, that's pretty scary. Anyhow, yeah. So here you see these examples I'm giving you of a woman that's down in her worst place, being homeless, entertaining people and smiling. And then you have another person who is at their lowest and doing absolutely no self care. That day, that moment, I can't say that he doesn't do it another day, right? I can't assume that. But this is how our world is reflected, right? Um, our attitude makes a lot of difference. And part of my self care is an attitude adjustment regularly. Yeah, regularly. I have to look myself in the mirror and go, what the are you doing? Yep. Uh, anyhow, so let's move on to the power of your subconscious mind. Now, I don't know if you've read this one, Robert, but this is by Joseph Murray, and it's a book about um, helping millions achieve remarkable goals simply by changing the way they think. Absolutely, because the power of our subconscious mind is amazing. And I had picked page 172 because he says, remember always that what you are seeking is also seeking you. Whatever you want to, whenever you want to sell a home or property of any kind, there is always someone who wants what you have to offer. By using the powers of your subconscious mind correctly, you free your mind of all sense of competition and anxiety in buying and selling. Now, I don't even want to go there about the buying and selling of a house. What I want to focus on is, oh, you have that book. You are my kind of guy. What I want to really focus on is what he expresses here. What you are seeking is also seeking you. Okay. What I am seeking is that the entire world start practicing more self-care. When I started my journey way back, I wanted to be the change I wanted to see in the world. I now am that change. And every day I go out there, including doing this podcast, to be a mirror of communicating to you the importance of sitting down and truly looking at what you're doing about your self-care. I couldn't sit here in front of you sharing with you all these experiences and all this knowledge and wisdom about self-care if I wasn't doing it. Because I seeked so much self-love, I attracted love to my life. Because I sought out so much prosperity, I have so much prosperity in my life now. Because I sought out my self-love to reunite with my family, I am now reunited with my family. Robert here has a beautiful saying. That we are mirrors for each other is very much a thing. Yes, right? So what I mirror out to you is practice makes perfect. Have the faith that you can do these things. Reach out to someone, give, right? Giving is a powerful thing. If you are seeking to receive, you must give, right? And if that what you're seeking is seeking you also, what happens if you're seeking self-neglect, self-abuse, poverty, because you're thinking with a lack mentality or attitude? Then you are going to receive exactly what you're thinking, right? And it's not believed out there in the universe that clearly that people want to still hold on to these old conditionings we have about being human, right? We want everything to come to us easy. We want to blame, we want to shame, we want to point our fingers and never look back at the three fingers that are pointing back at us, right? We don't want to be self-accountable. And that is holding us back from having the beautiful life you can have. Now, what's your definition of a beautiful life? For me, it's having this beautiful picture behind me and sitting in the greenhouse, having my children reunited with me, having a wonderful relationship with a wonderful man, living in a home that gives me lots of attitude to grow prosperity. My God, the list goes on and on. My health, you know, I may not have the most fancy car in the driveway, and I may not own a big mansion, and my bank account may not have hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I have the mindset that I will one day, and I have the mindset that I will discontinue binge eating and compulsive overeating. I have that mindset. I have no other choice but to do that because it's only affecting me. What I do with myself doesn't affect anyone else unless it's something negative, right? If it's positive, I can only hope that what I'm doing is going to have an effect. Everyone has to take their own actions. So, with that said, I would like to ask Robert a question since he is such the king of comments. What does your self-care look like right now? How is it going? And what are you doing for your self-care? Oh, well, I'm waiting for him to respond to that specific question. I'm going to put out there in the universe that anyone who views this and is struggling with their mental health, I am a philanthropist. I raise money through the sales of my coloring books and cards and services and products, and they're all posted on learntolovemyself.ca. Okay. Now, someone who is financially struggling, okay, those monies, I do not just want to give them to the Canadian Mental Health Association. I want to be able to fund someone's self love mentoring. Okay. So if you're listening to this and you want basically paid for self love mentoring, you're ready, absolutely ready. You know, without a doubt in your heart that you are ready to have some self love mentoring and you're going to practice to make things perfect, that you want to have a life full of prosperity, love, kindness, and compassion for yourself and others, then message me. And I would be absolutely thrilled to use those monies to help you, right? A lot of people help me out there. I have my fundraiser coming up in July, actually July 7th to 9th. And I will be hosting the Canadian Mental Health Association here as well. They're going to put a table and talk to people. So if you or a loved one here in Canada, sorry, Ontario, Clearview, wants to drop by, participate, buy something, support mental health, you are making a difference for your own self-care. It's all connected. Um, that's unfortunate for you, Robert. I'm sorry to hear that. And I can't remember. Are you in the US or in Canada? Anyhow, yeah. So I'm hoping this message will get out there and people will say to a loved one, hey, I know a lady who is helping people's mental health and she funds the covering for their self-love mentoring. And if that makes a difference for them and they're ready for it, I'm here for you. Okay. So I would like to share with you that everyone goes through hard times and it's not easy to apply self-care when we're depressed or having anxiety. But the alternative is to stay suffering. So no matter how much money you have or what trouble you're having, have an attitude of gratitude, right? So when I was going through my business collapse and I had only $300 in my pocket and a couch to sleep on, as depressed and as much anxiety I had, I got out there and I practiced self love and I practiced self care. And there are going to be good days and there are going to be bad days. So, um, thank you for sharing that, Robert. And you know what? He's talking about how no matter what difficulties he still has the fuel to generate joy and is doing his things by commenting on the show. And I really appreciate that, Robert. I really do, because that's giving example of feedback of exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, a lot of times when I was struggling with my mental health, there were days when I could not literally communicate with people. And the kindest thing I could do was to be kind to myself by saying and giving people boundaries. All right. Self-care really needs a lot of boundaries for ourselves. And when I was in therapy and she taught me what healthy boundaries look like, because mine were there's this diagram of what a healthy boundary looks like. And then you have what's called loose boundaries. And then on the other side of the coin, you have rigid boundaries. And mine were really loose, where I let all the negativity into my life and I always said yes to everybody. And then on the other spectrum, the rigidness, I knew a lot of people who were rigid and never let any love in or took any risks. So that's very courageous of you, Robert. I appreciate you sharing that. And this is really important what he shares. Depression is not really a thing. The biggest issue can be frustration, but even that can be tempered. Depression is not really a thing. Interesting. For me, okay, I'll give you a little bit of feedback on what he's sharing. Now, we don't mean to offend anybody when we're on here. And if that kind of made you feel like we don't, we don't know what the heck we're talking about here. Depression is trying to tell us something, okay? Yes, we get depressed, but for me, when I was depressed, it was an escape. A lot of times it was, I don't want to function, right? Because of this, and this. Once you look at depression more as a signal telling you that I need to do something with myself, because if I stay here, then yes, you are depressed. You are pressing yourself underneath all the weight of all the problems you're experiencing. And it's the whole terminology of depression and anxiety, traumas and everything is bigger than what we're really talking about out there in the general public. Okay. And depression has many faces. It's not black and white. Okay. For Robert, it may look this way. For me, it would look this way. And for Jane Smith down the road, it'll look a different way. And none of us should be ostracized or corrected that it's right. My way is right and your way is wrong. No. We feel the way we feel and it's validated. Okay. So, um, yeah, yeah, that's another topic for a totally different day. Robert's sharing a lot about how it's helped him. I want you to come on my show one day. And that he doesn't want to be on so many meds either. Yeah, medicating ourselves is a whole different other story. I would love to get a physician on that is a doctor treating people with depression, and I will one day so that the viewers can get more information on that. Maybe a description on, it'd be good to have a couple of guests. Maybe I'll do a show about self-care and how we got off our antidepressants and why we remain on our antidepressants. I would love that conversation with people. It would be very eye-opening. Uh, that's okay, Robert. You don't need to apologize. But I'm thankful. Thank you for your apology. I'm not going to reject it. So, people, I've been going on for 45 minutes. I think I'm going to call it a day. I feel, you know what? This has really helped me coming on today. I was kind of, when I get in those moods of anxiety, I kind of say to myself, no, I don't want to do this. And, maybe I should just not do what makes me happy. And that is a clear sign I'm going the wrong way. So, part of what my self-care looks like today is that I got on here and had this lovely conversation with Robert. and that I have shared with the world. I hope some tidbits of wisdom about what self-care looks like for you. And I always appreciate if you share, like, subscribe to the Mental Health Warriors. The more we're out there, the more we are known of, the sooner we will end the stigma around mental illness. And if you're currently struggling with a mental illness or your mental health, please seek out help, whether it is your physician or a therapist, or even reaching out to a friend, a family, or us here on the Mental Health Warriors. We would love to be able to help you, even if it's just to listen, because a lot of times what we forget is most important is to be kind to ourselves and just listen, right? Listen to others is very kind. Kindness is one of the best self-care there is, right? Being gentle with ourselves. I tell my clients when I start mentoring, be gentle with yourself. Do not expect that it's going to happen overnight, the improvement of your mental health. Mental wellness takes a lot of work, and you're worth it, right? And so that's my show for today. And if you want to message me with any questions that you may have, or if you want to partake in me helping you with your self-love mentoring, I'm here. And if you are local and watching this, please, please, please reach out to me about my fundraiser in July. I need volunteers to help set up, manage, tear down, participate, and buy some stuff. We have everything from hammers to clothing to wood. It's always great, and I'm looking so forward to it this summer. I will, what's Robert's last comment here? Oh, that's good. Here, I'm going to share this last thing from Robert. I did oh, sorry, wrong one. I have learned how to take it easy on me. Awesome. That is so awesome. High five on that. Robert, come up and help me with my fundraiser. Anyhow, like, subscribe, share, please. And I look forward. My next show is at the end of the month on the 31st. And I have my good friend Yvonne coming back on, and we're going to be talking about self-care and what it looks like for our bodies and people respecting the boundaries of do not touch my body. It's going to be an amazing show, and we're going to get down and dirty about what it looks like to be a survivor of sexual abuse and how to put those healthy boundaries up where we can communicate with those around us why we don't want to be touched, how to touch us, and when. It's going to be an incredible show. And I hope you tune in. Robert, I wish you the best. If you need us at any time, we're always here for you. I love you. Take care. Bye for now.